Today is March 1st, 2014, and although our garden currently looks like this, it's time to start planning our garden for this year. To do that, first we need to look back at 2013. We use a program called growveg.com to keep track of our garden from year to year, so first we're going to log in and take a look at what we did last year. Our original plan was just to start off with 9 garden beds, each garden bed being 4 feet by 4 feet, built using 2 by 12 pine, and then spacing each bed with 2.5 feet between for walking through wheelbarrows, lawnmowers, that kind of stuff. If I had it to do over again, I would space them a little further apart, probably 3 feet or 3.5 feet apart. It would just make getting the wheelbarrow in and out a lot easier. We decided in the first year to keep things fairly simple and only grow things that we knew how to grow, had grown before with success, and also knew that we would eat regularly. Instead of trying to plant a little bit of everything, we focused just on 6 or 8 things that we really liked. Once we had the initial 9 beds planned out, I started growing the seedlings, and I planted about 50% more of every type of plant than I initially thought we needed. I wanted to make sure we were covered since this was our first time growing seedlings inside under artificial lights. What ended up happening in reality, though, is that we had great success growing inside, and we ended up with a lot of seedlings, more than we could fit in our initial 9 beds. We gave some away to friends, but we ended up deciding we needed to expand the garden immediately, so we added 3 more beds here. Even after we added those 3 more beds, giving us 12 total, we still had more compost and a few more seedlings left, so we knew we wanted to eventually expand to 16 beds in 2014, so we decided why not start that in 2013. We added these 2 beds at the bottom and just planned out that we were going to add 2 more at the top in 2014. We got all of our seeds from High Mowing Organic Seeds in Vermont. They have really great seeds and they're local to us here in New England. I decided to start the seedlings upstairs in one of the bedrooms we weren't using. This room was scheduled to be renovated in the next year or so anyway, so we just didn't use it. It was also the only sunny room in the house that we had that we could keep the cats out of so the cats wouldn't try to eat all of our seedlings. Here are some shots of the seedlings growing. They did really well inside underneath the artificial lights. As you can see, they got big and green and very healthy. We ended up running low on space, so it was really important to get them outside as soon as possible. Unfortunately, the weather didn't cooperate, and they had to stay inside a lot longer than I would have liked. Once the ground had thawed, I got started on building the garden beds. In these initial pictures, you'll see the 6 beds we started with just to get a few of the plants out of the grow room, and then we immediately went to the 9 and then the 12 and beyond. We purchased 9 yards of compost from a local dealer. It ended up being way more than we needed, which is part of the reason why we expanded the garden right away. In this picture, you'll see that I marked it out for 12 kale plants, which it goes against what growveg.com told me to do. They recommended 9, but because we had so many seedlings, I was hoping to pack a few extra in and get away with it. This is something I wouldn't advise. It really ended up overcrowding the plants and limiting their growth throughout the rest of the year. I did this in almost every bed, except for the tomatoes, and the kale, the Brussels sprouts, the broccoli, everything suffered because of it. Here's a picture of the garden taken in late June when everything had really taken off, and then here's a picture of the tomatoes in July. They ended up getting over 7 feet tall before a thunderstorm came through and blew them down. Overall, the garden in 2013 was a huge success. We do plan to make some changes in 2014, as well as add some new variety to the vegetables, so check out my next video on the 2014 garden plan.